Turns out Falcon and the Winter Soldier was far more interesting for me than I expected. I was glad to be proven wrong, and you'll hear why in this review. Hi, my name's Drew and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. To begin with, I must sincerely apologise. Typically this would have been a drone video. Unfortunately, Vienna has been on lockdown for the whole of April, so I wasn't able to go out and actually fly out and film with the drone. So I am hoping that I'll get back to it very soon, and you can be assured that as soon as it is possible and I have a video, I will upload one again. Hopefully next month. So my apologies that this is a different video. I hope you enjoy it anyway. As mentioned, I'm talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which if you remember my review on Wandavision, which if you want to watch you can click here. I was not too keen on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I wasn't quite sure at that time that we really needed this show and whether I really wanted to know more about these characters. But I have to say that keep faith in the MCU. They have managed to make a really interesting show about these two characters and others of course, but the focus obviously are these two, and they really made me care about both of them a lot more. Now what is it about? As per usual, I won't do too much spoiling, but you will want to know what it is about, and generally speaking we follow both of these characters and they are trying to find a new path in life after the events of Avengers Endgame. So the show takes place 6 months after the end of Endgame. So half of the world's population has reappeared after the blip, which was Thanos sniffing his fingers. So on a social level, this is what the world is dealing with and how do we do this, and it is a really great concept. I'm so glad that this is being explored because I find it really fascinating. I mean, we saw a bit of it in Spider-Man Far From Home, but not really. This is where they're really getting stuck into it, and I like it because Marvel is doing a lot. There's a lot of allegory happening with refugees, which unfortunately is a topic that we are constantly having to deal with in this world. It would be great to have a world without refugees, but there it is. And so Marvel has now created their own vehicle without actually having to draw from a real event from our life. They can just use this as an allegory to say what they want to say about refugees, which I feel is great. And to just think, I mean, just if you're not aware, but you should be, at least if you are an MCU fan, half the world's population just magically reappeared after Avengers Endgame, which means that there was a period of 5 years on Earth where there was only half the population. And then from one day to the next, suddenly they all just reappeared. Now, there are a lot of issues that brings with it. I mean, the homes that these people had, they've possibly been taken by someone else. So who is now the rightful owner? I mean, you maybe have a family that's already been living in it for 5 years. They've redecorated the place, done all sorts of things with it. So it is a really interesting question. I feel there is no right or wrong answer, but that is mainly what this show deals about. And you have a group of refugees. They are also called terrorists by government bodies. They're called the Flag Smashers, and they oppose this GRC, which is the Global Repatriation Council, I think is the full name of it. Their job is to relocate all these people that suddenly reappeared. And the Flag Smashers are of the opinion that this is wrong and the way they're going about it is not being done correctly. They preferred the world as it was during the blip. Seemingly you had a lot more open borders and people coming together, working together. And now that everyone's back, the governments seemingly are intent on rebuilding all the borders and driving walls between people. At the same time, this show deals a lot with the legacy of Captain America, which is also obviously a very big topic. We are talking about the biggest Avenger. And by biggest, I obviously don't mean size or such, but just the name, the morals of Steve Rogers is something that permeated the MCU, and quite understandably, people in, well, America, but the rest of the world looked up to Captain America. And so with him being gone, the question is, what happens? Is there going to be a void left? Is somebody going to try and fill it? And this is also a big topic that is discussed in this series. That's more or less what I'll say about the plots. Our two heroes, they work together rather reluctantly because they're not big fans of each other, which we have seen in past Captain America and Avengers films. So that they have to work with each other, they're trying to find these flag smashers and trying to, well, just deal with the whole situation. And at the same time, like I said, they've got their personal issues that they have to deal with. TV show itself, I think, is a great concept for this story. I was thinking about it while watching it, just so you know. It's only got 6 episodes, where Wandavision had 10, although Wandavision typically had shorter ones. I would assume that the runtime is basically the same, but still it feels shorter in that way because obviously there are less episodes. And I think it was the right format. I was thinking about whether this would have worked in a film, and I don't think so. Because you do have sort of these small mini stories going on, and I think it works a lot better in this serial manner. Now, this is not to say that it's all great. There were some moments and episodes that I felt were a bit more filler, so they didn't really do that much for me. But generally speaking, it's great to see more about these characters. Both Falcon and Winter Soldier, I wasn't too keen on them, but here we see a lot of their motivations and even their personal life. Bucky, the Winter Soldier, still dealing with the ramifications of having been a Winter Soldier and killed people against his own will, being used as a machine basically, and he really deals with this. Also, he has now lost Steve Rogers. What's he going to do now in his life? And then you have Falcon, who has personal issues at home with his own family, trying to figure out what to do with the family boat now that the parents have died and are gone, so that is quite an issue as well. And at the same time, he too is dealing with what is he going to do with the Captain America mantle, because if you remember, spoilers for Avengers Endgame, at the end he receives the shield from Steve Rogers, so he obviously wanted the Falcon to be Captain America, or at least use the shield. And so he is struggling with the idea, should he be, does he want to be, and what is going to happen. So I really enjoyed exploring both of these characters in more depth, and you have other characters popping up that we have already seen in the MCU. I won't spoil them for you. Also giving more backstory and other things. Again, this is one of the great things about the MCU. You can have people popping up in other people's properties, and it just fleshes out the whole universe. What I really like about this show is it absolutely feels part of the Captain America franchise, so it goes incredibly well with all the films. It's like the same people made it, although that is not the case. It wasn't the Russo brothers who were involved with this series, but like I say, the feel of it is exactly the same. So if you like the Captain America franchise, which is arguably the best in the MCU, at least when it comes to the individual heroes, then you'll definitely love this because it feels like more of the same. Just more in depth and detail. We're using these other characters to explore the idea of what Captain America stood for. And this is a minor spoiler, but you may have seen it in promotional material already. What happens in the show is Sam Wilson, Falcon, he gives the shield to the government because he wants it to be exhibited in a museum. And they instead take the opportunity to appoint a new Captain America without input from any of the Avengers. This is a man called John Walker, a highly decorated soldier, multiple medals of honor, etc., etc. And we have to deal with him as well. So he interacts with both Bucky and Sam, and we get to see interesting things there because he is obviously not like Steve Rogers and has his own ideas about what Captain America should be, and we have a lot of clashes there, and that's the particularly interesting thing about this story. And that is one of the things that I would say are not that great about it. The villains, the flag smashers, they don't feel quite as fleshed out as I would hope them to be. I did hear that a part of the series had to be cut out. They actually had originally a plot involving a virus and a pandemic and vaccines, etc., which understandably was cut. Obviously it was written before the pandemic we are in right now. So I believe that would have fleshed them out a bit more, but the Flag Smashers, I feel they fell just a bit short, and the leader, Kali Morgenthau, as well. While likeable, there just wasn't enough there, I felt. And to me, at least, the dynamic between Falcon, the Winter Soldier, and the new Captain America was far more interesting and really riveting to watch and see what happens. overall you have the action we're used to. It's not completely bloated, so while there is enough action, it's not happening all the time. It is really more about character and ideology development and analysis, which I really enjoyed. It is obviously a well-produced show, so we've got everything we're used from the MCU. It's got an incredibly high budget thrown at it. I think it was $150 million. So you've got the high quality we are used to, and obviously this is taking TV to the next level. So all the effects, etc., they're all there, they're all in place, they're all wonderful to see. Standard fare by now, I would say. If you weren't too keen on WandaVision because it was a bit too out there and a bit too strange, etc., and you were looking for more of the typical MCU stuff, like I say, particularly if you're a fan of the Captain America franchise, you have to watch this because it will be exactly what you want. It is more typical, but like I say, it's still different from the films because they use a TV format to really look into these characters and give them a lot of development. So I am now already looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next with them. So they got me completely on board with the idea of this show. They might even continue it in some way. We'll see what happens. But I highly recommend it. Unfortunately, you can only watch it at the moment with the Disney Plus subscription. If you do eventually get it, and if you are an MCU fan, I suppose you will at some point, I definitely say watch this. It's really, really great to see our world expanding ever more. And generally, I like, in contrast to WandaVision, that this wasn't too out there. I like WandaVision as well, but I still like these sort of down-to-earth stories. And I'm really a sucker for analysing morals and a moral code. How are you going to act? What does a certain symbol represent in people? How do you motivate them, inspire them, etc.? And this is something that this show does really, really well. One other thing they do, and it was obviously brilliant timing for them, could not have been planned, but they also explore the issue of race, because Sam Wilson, of course, is a black man. He's given a shield by Captain America, the white man, even with the blonde hair and the blue eyes. And so you have that being explored as well. John Walker, the new Captain America chosen by the government, is basically and looks like Steve Rogers, so you have that aspect as well. Naturally, this series comes at a great time after the Black Lives Matter movement and all sorts of issues being talked about and explored there. Obviously, they didn't plan it, but this is a great time for this sort of show to come out at. I'll thank you for watching this review. Leave a like on it if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel for more. The next Disney Plus series will be Loki, which starts in June. I will also be talking about that once it is concluded. This one I am already looking forward to, so I hope that won't disappoint. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see future review videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.